Thank you for pressing the self-destruction button.
Hey! Oh, hey! It's, it's like a koala bear cracked a rainbow in my brain!
Listen, here's $5. I've got to get to 1008 Park Avenue right away. It's an emergency. Look, I'm really in a hurry. Isn't there something you can do? Be $10 more. Look, I've got to be there before 5. Well, what's going on up there? We're getting someplace. Now, look, will you just get around him? Just get in this lane. Do it! I've got to be there by 5. Hey, mister, you're going to be 10 minutes late, so just keep your shirt on.
I think, a lot of us have family members that are going through a crisis or dealing with problems like this. So it's art therapy in a way. It's a cathartic kind of release for me.
Rack lays it up, no, but we do have the whistle. The foul. Ben just went after our 10. Trouble right here in the Motor City. We got big trouble here in the Motor City. Steven Jackson still screaming at the Pistons. He came back now, but short on the headsets. The Indiana broadcast. And Ben Wallace is threw something at him. There goes Ben Wallace again. There goes Artest up into the crowd. He's absolutely out of his mind. And Steven Jackson slugging people in the crowd here. The whole Indiana team is in the crowd. And now the Pistons are coming over.
And you want to be my latex salesman.
Hey, did you see that? Did you see somebody go past the window? What? Somebody just went past that window downwards. Oh. Must be a board meeting. Oh, yeah.
He's faking it.
I think he's in trouble.
Julie, this guy, if he can't take a joke, he stinks.
Get your house!
It's on fire! It's on fire!
Sir, I would like to complain about that last scene about people falling out of high buildings. I myself have worked all my life in such a building and have never once...
Jack, you know what? Hey, I really like that hate t-shirt. The whole angry young man, black thing, generation. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah, it's the name of a comic book. I borrow your pen 1 second?
Absolutely.
Happy now.
My artwork is popular because it connects with the ordinary person, and they can understand it very easily. And I've always meant it to be so. I've never confined my art to a particular section of humanity. I love people in general. My art reflects it, and that's the way it's always been.
Hello and welcome to Taylor Talks Comics Live. Am I not on there yet? Hold on a second. There we go. Let's try that again. Hello and welcome to Taylor Talks Comics Live. Thank you for joining me. It is National Christmas Card Day. So if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you got your Christmas cards out today. It's also the birthday of Deacon Jones, the famous NFL Hall of Famer, and also Morton Downey Jr., star celebrity from WrestleMania. I want to say WrestleMania 4 or 5. I can't remember. The one where Roddy Piper smoked him out with a fire extinguisher. But interesting. Yes. Okay. Nonetheless. How you guys doing today? Thank you for joining me. Please fill up the chat with your comments so we can talk comics today. Very much appreciated. With this background, the intro should be nothing but Pee-wee clips. Yeah, the thumbnail today, I chose to use the background of Pee-wee's Playhouse, one of my all-time favorite TV shows. Loved it as a kid. And then it was one of the first TV shows I bought on DVD whenever DVDs became a thing. Big time Pee-wee fan. I even have Pee-wee somewhere in my background right here. Taka Michinoku. Yeah, that was actually a clip from a famous match in Michinoku Pro, which was one of my favorite Japanese wrestling promotions of all time. It had a fun mix of like lucha libre and Japanese puresu. I think they pronounce it. But yes, Taka Michinoku got his name from that promotion because he was trained by two of the gentlemen you see in that clip. Gran Hamada and the great Sasuke. James Abel's in the house. Thank you for joining me. Order put in. Josh, what did you order? Is this comics? I'd love to hear it. What are you getting, Josh? The Hulk would have gone through the roof of that taxi. You're right. But Lou Ferrigno, maybe he doesn't have any ups. He can't jump very high. I miss when the show was on Wednesday. I've been consistently on Wednesday since I've restarted the show. I haven't had to jumble up the days. When the first iteration of the show, it was like every week I was jumping around on which day it was going to be on. But this week I just happened to not be able to get Wednesday off of work. So I do have a job outside of Taylor Talks Comics, unfortunately. But I still want to have a show on this week nonetheless. Wait, this isn't radio? No, this is... Oh, because I started off with the audio. I actually started my online career, so to speak. Say that with my tongue firmly planted in my cheek. Doing podcasts. I did podcasts. Taylor Talks Football was actually my first podcast. And then I did a podcast with my friend where we reviewed movies, superhero or comic book movies. It was called Podcast Prevails. If you want to look up that. I don't think any of the audio exists for either of those podcasts. And for a short time, I did Taylor Talks Wrestling, podcast on that. And then it all evolved into Taylor Talks Comics. But Podcast Prevails, it was my friend that I did it with, my old roommate. I was roommates with him for like 5 years, best friend, the best man at my wedding. And we've talked about, like, I'm still in touch with him, obviously. And we talked about bringing it back on YouTube, possibly, as a movie review show. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys would enjoy that. It'd be a live show, probably. and it'd probably be on evenings sometime during the week. But I thought about bringing that back in some form. Taylor, I thought you did the live show on Wednesday. I typically do, but this week I couldn't make it work. Morton Downey, the original Jerry Springer. Yeah, he was like Jerry Springer mixed with like Howard Stern, but in like a cringy sort of way. He wasn't as good as Howard Stern by any means. You mean it's not Wednesday? Yeah, everyone's confused about what day it is. I'm probably gonna be confused for the rest of the week. I'll be thinking like, oh yeah, I did the show on Wednesday, so tomorrow I'm gonna be thinking it's Thursday. No Tales from the Crypt either. In the intro? Actually, fun fact, I've only watched a couple episodes of Tales from the Crypt in my life. I didn't have HBO as a kid. Back in my day, some of our days, HBO was like a premier channel that only in my neck of the woods, only the rich kids had HBO. Every once in a while, there'd be like a preview for it. I had a cousin that had HBO, and that's how I watched a couple of the episodes of Tales from the Crypt. That was my first interaction or first time seeing the Crypt Keeper in any form. It wasn't until years later that I found out about the comics. But since then, I think it's on DVD, but it's not on it's not on HBO Max or anything. So I don't know where you'd watch it besides getting those old DVDs. I would love to go back and watch it because I know they adapted a lot of the comics that I've now read. Hello, Jose. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Jose? Did you receive a copy of Winnie the Pooh? If yes, is it worth getting? Because I ordered due to nostalgia. No, I haven't. I didn't get a review copy of that one. I do have a lot of Fantagraphics books I need to catch up on throughout this month. I have a whole list of videos I need to put together for that. But that wasn't one of them, and I didn't pick it up. I do love Winnie the Pooh, though. I do have a video on my channel showing off the Drawn and Quarterly Winnie the Pooh book they did a couple years ago. I forget who was the cartoonist that did it. But the cartoonist was adapting a lot of the classic storybooks, but in comic book form. I know I have a video on this. Travis Dandro. And that's a great book. If you have a nostalgia for Winnie the Pooh, I recommend that one for sure. It was done because the Winnie the Pooh is coming into public domain, and Travis wanted to do it in a comic book form, very much a love letter and in tune with those classic storybooks. So some of the tropes that you would see with Winnie the Pooh that came up later, you won't see. Like, I don't think Winnie the Pooh has his red T-shirt yet. Tigger's not in it yet because he's not public domain yet. But regardless, the comic itself is really good. If one of the moderators could show the link to that video for Jose to watch. If you like Winnie the Pooh, though, I'd recommend that comic. Lone Wolf and Hulk and other manga. Lone Wolf and Hulk sounds like an amazing comic book. But which Hulk did you pick up? I haven't picked up my copy of Lone Wolf and Cub yet. I did realize my plan was to go to my shop because I sold a bunch of books to him a few weeks ago, so I have some credit there. My plan was to go to my shop and get the copy tomorrow, the day it comes out, but then I realized I work. So now the earliest I'll be able to get to my shop would be Thursday, and hopefully they still have it on the shelf by then. I don't know if that'll be. They usually have like a brand new shelf for collected editions, like right when you walk in the door, and they usually do a pretty good job of selling out of it throughout the week, like even with the omnibuses and whatnot. So I'm hoping the copy will still be there. I could have called them ahead of time and asked them to reserve it, but I kind of like to gamble a little bit. So I'll see if it's still there. One of the things in my haul, though, is in preparation for that. We'll get to that in a little bit. Picture Peepers, hello. How to get my order in too? What did you order at Picture Peepers? So, fun fact, I'll type too fast and mimic what I hear, aka Lone Wolf and Hulk. Oh, I see what you did. So you meant Lone Wolf and Cub. I thought you were just like shortening it to like I ordered a Hulk book and a Lone Wolf and Cub, and you just mixed it together. Also, if I say wrestling 3 times, a bunk will appear. Ooh. Is it going to be in the chat today? Those DVDs go cheap on eBay. Oh, really? I assumed that they would be going for pricey, going for a lot. Actually, So I'm toying with the idea. This is totally just will only affect me and not you guys. But I'm gonna get a classic old TV, like a 13-inch TV, with a VCR for my studio here to watch when I'm doing stuff in the background, and collect like VHS tapes as I go thrifting. But my wife, who is also a thrifter as well as me, and that's who she follows a lot of thrifters and thrifting on TikTok and whatnot. And she says it's like a popular trend now for people to collect these old TVs and VCRs. And I was like, what? So now they're kind of pricey. It's not a couple years ago, you'd be able to get a VCR TV like that for free. Like you'd be able to find someone just trying to get rid of that kind of stuff. But now they and when I say pricey, like I found some for like $100 or whatever. And also like Goodwill doesn't sell TVs anymore. So where do you even buy a TV like that? But with that said, that might be something I would put on there to watch in the background. eBay is the devil. Are you saying that because you missed out on Devil Dinosaur, Josh? About Lady Death hardcover. Video soon, Josh? Ooh, there we go, Josh. Here's James with the link to my Winnie the Pooh video. Thank you, James. There you go. Oh, and then Josh with the Taylor promotes a bear with no pants. He also has no shirt on, so he's just totally naked in those comics. Call to hold them. I know, but I like the idea of like going there and just hoping it's there. Because I know I could get the book from I could get it from like Panel Bound Comics, for instance, to sponsor the show, and order it and get it like in a few weeks or whatever. Or maybe next week. I guess they might still have it in stock. So I know it's not going to go out of print or anything. So I don't mind going through the kind of the gamble of like, ooh, I hope I get to the shop and it's still there. King Conan Volume 2, Lone Wolf, and Rat God. I still need to order my copy of Rat God. I don't have that. Chester Brown should do a Winnie the Pooh book. And Dana cleverly left off the H on Pooh for a reason. Yes, Chester Brown. That'd be hilarious. I got the Tales Complete series box set for like $30. Is that recent? I think they have like a documentary on the comic books, don't they? In that DVD set. People are buying old TVs to play classic consoles. Oh, that as well. In the classic console, my choice would probably be my PS2. I still have the same PS2 I had when I was 16, and it still lives on. It's still going strong. I played that thing hours upon hours, days and weeks worth of video games on that thing, and it's still going strong. Naked Bears, you monster. All right, so I do have a bit of a haul. And sorry, there's some Indianapolis sports news happening, and my phone is blowing up. I'm going to mute that for a second. Yes, there's something going on in Indianapolis, in Indiana sports. First, it was Tyrese Halliburton tearing his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I covered that on the show. I know this isn't Taylor Talk Sports. WNBA, Caitlin Clark, the famous Caitlin Clark, hurt her knee, was out for the season just a few weeks after Tyrese tearing his Achilles. And then now the Indianapolis Colts are gearing up for a playoff run, but their quarterback Daniel Jones just tore his Achilles this past weekend. So something going on with Indiana sports. I don't understand it. But as far as comic book news goes, that's not what I wanted to select. So I did want to talk about this. Okay, so let's pull this one up, because this is an important thing for me as a comic book YouTuber and for everyone else watching this. Okay. So I'm going to go through a little series of play-by-play here. Dun, dun, dun. Bear with me. So the first bit of news is about Sara Pichelli. Let me get on here. Yes, because I prepared some news today. I've been bad about this lately, but I wanted to do better this week. Do right by you guys by making sure I actually have news to talk about. Let me get the screen ready and set there. All right, so this is the first part of this news. There's going to be a second part following up. So if you guys know the follow up to this, just bear with me. But the first part was this was a story that came out, and this is Bleeding Cool that I'm sharing this off of. But I think a number of sites picked this up. I don't know who picked it up first. I don't know if Bleeding Cool did, but it was picked up by, I think Comics Beat picked it up as well. But this is the headline: the saddest part of Sara Pichelli's life, not being paid for Miles Morales, is the headline. So obviously, you see this and you're like, oh no, one of these comic book rights issues again. We've heard about these. Anytime these characters are adapted into Hollywood, they don't ever. Sometimes they don't even credit the creators, but they also don't compensate them. Especially, we've had issues with this with Marvel. DC does a better job with this. Famously, I've talked about this on the channel. Omar over at Near Make Edition interviewed. Is it not sharing my screen? Oh, there it is. Okay. Interviewed Lynn Wein back in the day, and Lynn Wein said he's been compensated more for Lucius Fox being a character in the Dark Knight trilogy. He was compensated more for that character being adapted onto the big screen more than he was ever compensated for Wolverine being adapted. So think about that. Like Lucius Fox is like a bit character in the Dark Knight trilogy. You know, he's down on the list of like, you know, bottom of the top 10, probably most important characters of that trilogy, versus Wolverine, who's had his own movies and was probably the biggest selling point of the X-Men movies. He didn't receive a dime from that. So that was an issue. But DC has done a better job. Some creators have come out and said like they get royalty checks every time their characters are shown on the big screen or on TV or anything, no matter how big or small the character is. So this is Sara Pichelli talking about Miles Morales being this super popular character, a character that she co-created with Brian Michael Bendis. The article summary here: Sara Pichelli receives no royalties from Marvel for her character's success, Miles Morales. Despite millions in sales for Miles Morales games and merch, Pichelli gets no financial share. Is this like an AI summary? It just repeated exactly what it said. Comic book creators often miss out profits while publishers claim ownership of the creations. Miles Morales is seen as a Spider-Man derivative, so creators benefit less from favorable royalty deals. Who wrote that article summary? Rich Johnson, do you have AI writing your article summaries? That was awful. But yeah, is that in the article about him being a derivative? Because that's never mattered. Like I know, like Ethan Van Sciver has talked about how like he's been compensated for Jessica Cruz appearing in like an animated movie of Green Lantern because he's the co-creator of Jessica Cruz with Jeff Johns, and that's like a bit character, like derivative of derivative of derivative. So that shouldn't matter at all. But here's the interview that the Jamesons did with Sara Pichelli and the quotes from it. So it says, just reading this out loud with no sort of context of voice inflection or context of humor or sarcasm or anything like that. I'm just going to read it just verbatim. The video games too, about all those products that came along with Miles inspired by him. Do you get any share of that money? And then Sara replies, if only. Don't even mention it. I would be a billionaire. You really would be. The game sold millions. Yeah, but I don't get anything. That's the saddest part of my life. Man, unbelievable. I know. I can't believe it myself. We should start an online campaign. Please do it. A real political campaign. Yeah, because there's so much merchandising, so much stuff. Yeah, it's insane. I know. So that's, again, verbatim, it's also translated in Spanish. Good job, Rich Johnson, for seeking out the Spanish community. And then Sara Pichelli saw these articles popping up and was upset, rightfully so, it seems, based on what she's saying here. So let's go to this follow-up article. This is from Fandom Wire. And I don't know if Fandom Wire was one of the perpetuators of the original article, if they're one of the ones that posted a headline saying like Sara Pichelli's saddest part of her life is not being compensated for Miles Morales. I really hate StreamYard. I don't know. They do a really bad job of showing everything on my screen. Hold on a second. I know one of my viewers said I should try out OBS or OB5 or whatever. I'm definitely going to have to try to do that because that's one of my goals for the new year. I think is to try that out. Yeah, see, it's not sharing. Hold on a second. Bear with me, everybody. Oh, is it on there now? Okay, now it's on there. I don't know what's happening. It's all glitchy. Probably because I chose not to pay for the premium of StreamYard. Anyways, okay, so this is a follow-up, and this is the new headline, is please don't use me or my work. Marvel doesn't pay creators enough. Sara Pichelli clears air on latest drama. I need to pull up my second screen here just to make sure I can see what I'm doing here. And it says, Miles Morales creator Sara Pichelli gives additional context following her joke about Marvel allegedly not paying creators and artists enough. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Scrolling down here. Sara Pichelli is a creator of Miles Morales, had earlier stated, well, should say co-creator, is a co-creator of Miles Morales, stated that she doesn't get anything, and that's the saddest part of my life, while talking about royalties. With fans in an uproar, Pichelli later took to her Instagram to clarify her previous statement about the royalties was taken out of context, and that headline is an embarrassing clickbait news. She further wrote that whoever wrote that twisted completely the tone of our conversation, which was relaxed and ironic. So here's the full extent of her statement, which she posted on her Instagram stories. You got my attention a headline, but I wanted to let go, but since many of you are writing to me, I want to make things clear that the headline is an embarrassing clickbait news. Who wrote that twisted completely the tone of the conversation, which was relaxed and ironic. Plus, that was a tiny bit of our conversation where I wasn't complaining or mad at all, just saying a few lines about the business industry. So that's the news bit. Okay, so that's an important thing I want to talk about as far as technology. I need a like a producer, like an actual producer that's in-house. Why won't it pull up? Okay, whatever. But yeah, that's the news. So the thing that I want to talk about here, which I think is the biggest part of the story, is that why is it showing my face on here? Okay, I don't know what's going on here. So obviously this was a big deal. Sara Pichelli was upset, or she wasn't upset. She was upset at how it was portrayed in the media as far as this royalty thing. It was just like an offhand joke. I guess it would be similar to like the Lin Wein story. I don't think Lin Wein was like absolutely like irate or upset when he was talking to Omar about that story. But if Omar then went to Rich Johnston and said, "Hey man, Lin Wein's pissed off. He wants money. He's saying that Marvel's ripping him off," and then Rich Johnston was like, "Oh man, that's gonna be a great headline," and then he made a headline and then blew it all out of proportion. That's kind of what would happen here. Instead, it's just this funny little anecdote that Omar talks about sometimes whenever those issues come up. And I'm sure Sara Pichelli is, some part of her probably is annoyed. She would like to be compensated for creating this character that's now made billions and billions of dollars for Disney. But also she's not so upset that she's willing to, like, as Josh is saying, burn bridges with Marvel or any other comic book company and being seen as like hard to work with or anything like that. Like, she does have a career and professionalism to worry about as well. But my thing here, the thing that I want to impress upon is that the comic book journalism is already, I talk about this all the time, it's already crap. Like, there's no, comic book journalism doesn't exist in any great way. And the media covering comic books is abysmal. Like, it's hard to get press about your comic book unless it's because it's sold out 500,000 copies because it's in a blind bag with a variant cover or whatever. Or like Youngblood, which we'll talk about, which was the best-selling comic for Image all last month. because it's come back for the first time in 30 years or what have you, or the 30-year anniversary. I don't know when it stopped. I guess it hasn't been 30 years since we had a Youngblood comic, but I digress. Unless it's something like that, it's hard to get any sort of press. And these comic book creators are going to stop wanting to do these podcasts and these interviews at conventions and things if they keep getting their words twisted and turned into these clickbait headlines. Like it's got to be annoying, and we got to work together here. It's incredibly nice that some conventions will give you press badges if you just have a YouTube channel like me. I have this humble little YouTube channel, no big deal. That might give me a press badge just because I have a YouTube channel. It started off with like the blogs. I think was like the first inclination of like this homemade media being able to get press badges at conventions or whatever, things like that. And then podcasting and now YouTube channels and those sorts of things. So it's like homemade media. It's not like we're working for Fox or NBC or Disney or whatever. The access that we're provided, which isn't great. I'm not saying like we have a privileged, thing, that we have a good deal going on here. But the fact that we have access to these creators, that we can go to these conventions and ask them for an interview and sit down with them and talk comics with them for a little bit. And then we could put it onto our platform and hopefully promote their work, but also promote our platform of if I do a big interview with Sara Pichelli, hopefully it'll do good views on YouTube. Everybody benefits from that. It's very simpatico. We all work together kind of thing. But if we keep burning those bridges and twisting their words to turn them into headlines for a quick buck or whatever money they make off of these clickbait nonsense headlines, then they're going to stop doing these interviews. They're going to only do interviews with certain people. I think I saw this, not so much now. I think it's kind of dead because Comicsgate is pretty much dead, but there for a few years around 2020, from like 2019 to 2021, I'd say, I could see comic book creators being hesitant about doing YouTube channels or podcasts or interviews because they weren't sure where the content creator was coming from with their content. They didn't want to be associated with Comicsgate because a lot of Comicsgaters would be secretive about it whenever they're talking to comics creators for that reason, because they didn't want to be, turned away because they're associated with a group of bigots, I guess I should say, knuckleheads. Now that's not so much because Comicsgate, it's not dead, but it's pretty much like not a non-issue, I think. And I don't see comics creators avoiding interviews so much anymore. So that's my big point there, is that Sara Pichelli is upset because of how her words were twisted, and we need to be careful of that. In my audience here, if you guys aren't content creators yourself, which I'm assuming a lot of you aren't, I guess the way you can help with that is not giving power to the noise. I guess if you see a headline that looks very clickbaity like that, don't spread the story, or maybe spread it with some context, perhaps. That's the only way that not giving life to this noise is the only way that we're going to eventually cut down on the clickbait nonsense. I think, at least, which is a lot of. I understand the biz. Like, I understand Rich Johnston and Comics Beat. They produce, 100 articles a day and try to make the headline as big and salacious and, literally clickbaity as much as possible, wanting you to grab you to make you want to read the article, because then they benefit off the clicks from the article with their advertisers and whatnot. I understand how it works. I admittedly will make my videos on YouTube, my video headlines, different, because if I just do like Wild Kingdom overview as my YouTube headline on a video, it's not going to get very many views. But if I present it in a way that's saying like must read independent comic from Kevin Huizinga, or must read classic independent comic, or whatever, if I say it like that, then hopefully it'll grab someone's attention and they'll watch the video. Now, with that said, I try to present it in a way that I don't ever lie to the viewer. If I'm saying like this is a must read book, I mean it personally, for my opinion, that it's a must read book. or it's a classic, or whatever I say is authentic to how I feel. So I don't ever try to lead you guys in the wrong way just to get a click, if that makes sense. And with all that said, well, let's see what you guys are saying about this first, and then I'll get into the my next piece here. See where we are. Oh, Bunk's here. We all want to do better this week. Yes. I don't know if you're referring to the Sara Pichelli story, Bunk, but hey, thank you for joining me. Also, hope your basketball season's going well. I haven't watched the Celtics standings in a while, but the Pacers have won 2 games in a row. Big deal. Ha, called it. DC pays better as of now. Yeah, and that might change. Obviously, Warner Brothers is up for sale. That's a big story going on right now, which we'll get to in a little bit as well. I should have led with that. That's like the bigger story, isn't it? But also, I think we'll talk about that. Jim Starlin, who got more from KG Beast's laughable appearance in BVS than for all of Thanos' appearances in MCU combined. That's another great one. Jim Starlin, obviously, the MCU was built around Thanos. They built 20 plus movies around this one character, and Jim Starlin wasn't compensated for it at all. But then KG Beast makes an appearance in Batman v Superman and gets compensated. This just in, Taylor gets his news from AI. Bunk. No. I can't. Has anyone here met Taylor in person? Is Taylor AI? Maybe Taylor. That kind of Taylor makes clothes. Think about AI making clothes. I'm sure they already are. I feel like they could easily send a check once a year. Yeah, like I don't understand. I don't get it. I honestly don't. And I think if you're Marvel or DC, I've said this before too, if you're seeing like an exodus of big name creators going to like Image and Dark Horse or whatever, to where they can make their own, create their own stuff and own it, like Boom Studios, whatever, where they can own the property and they don't want to make any new characters. This has been a long running issue with Marvel and DC where people talk about like Marvel and DC hasn't had a brand new character in 25 years, like a big brand new character that's not a derivative of another one. And that's largely due to these creators not wanting to create brand new characters and give them up to DC or Marvel or Disney or Warner Brothers or whoever for free, basically. I mean, you're getting compensated for the work you're doing, but as far as like perpetual ownership of that character, you're giving it up. I still say I think Marvel and DC should go back to the way the royalty gig was when Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief at Marvel back in the Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson days of the late 80s, early 90s, because Rob Liefeld is the perfect example of a guy still benefiting from that royalty deal. That royalty deal, anytime that Deadpool, Cable, any character that Rob Liefeld created at Marvel, anytime those characters are used in action figures, video games, movies, whatever, he gets compensated for it for royalties because of that tight, small window when Marvel had that royalty gig. Now, what we're talking about with Jim Starlin and Len Wein and Sara Pichelli, they were all creating these characters outside of that royalty window. So that's why some Marvel creators will have these royalty deals and some don't. It's just based on what the royalty system was when you created those characters. Now, Marvel's tried to buy Liefeld out of that deal. They tried to say, like, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars so that you don't get royalties ever again, but we'll give you this big lump sum here. And he said no, smartly, because that was before the Deadpool movie and Cable Deadpool movie and whatever. But if they went back to that system, because Rob Liefeld is a perfect example of this, because if you go back and read those early issues of X-Force and those late issues of New Mutants, he wasn't just creating Deadpool and Cable. He was pumping out brand new characters on every single page. He saw that royalty system and that deal and saw that it was a potential benefit to him. So he was pumping out brand new characters like every single page, every single issue, just pumping them out. Now, Marvel, if they ever need a character for any sort of story, it has this whole playground of Liefeld characters they can go to and pull from. Even if that character only showed up for a page or two in Liefeld's comic because it didn't really hit and do well, they can still pull from it now and be like, hey, remember this character from back then? Cool little Easter egg. But they don't have that anymore because creators don't want to offer that up because there is no good royalty system. But Josh, the bigwigs need to build their new house in Iceland. Taylor, fake indie sent you the. Oh, thank you. On your Instagram. Yes, I'm going to use that. That's my goal. I think starting in January, I'm going to use it because I need some time to play with it. Because I don't want to just go live with it my first time and be like, oh, I don't know what's happening. Like I'll probably do like a fake live show where I go live without any sort of advertising with it to play around with it. But I am going to switch to that. So thank you, Josh. I guess she doesn't want to burn bridges. The comic business is weird. It certainly is. I agree with that. I have to vouch for a lot of channels with people I know. And that's awesome that you do that. Misquoting people is bad. Batman is 6 out of 10. Omar from Near My Condition. Man enjoys naked bear in his honeypot is how you should have tilted. Bunkmaster B. I only report on stories after the creator has sworn to me to absolute secrecy and says, you can't tell anyone about this. Those are the ones everyone needs to hear about. Yes. Off the record. Let's report those news or those stories. Why can't follow basketball season when we're smack dab in the middle of wrestling season? But seriously, Jaylen Brown has been going off this season. He is. I think I saw a podcast recently with him where he's talking about floppers and the flopper generation, and I couldn't agree more with him. How he's saying, like, if you guys want me to start flopping, I can try to go for those MVPs, basically. I hate flopping. SGA drives me nuts. It's LeBron's fault, by the way. The big two are going to have to reboot things since they are going to run out of stories. Basically, yeah. Bugmaster B. Taylor talked about doing a wrestling podcast, but he fears no one watched it. I previously did a wrestling podcast years ago. This was 2017, 2016, maybe. So I guess almost 10 years ago. It's called Taylor Talks Wrestling. And I mostly covered Japanese wrestling stuff. So I was trying to find my niche in that because there were so many podcasts out there covering WWE and whatnot, but I digress. I do want to talk about that. So the news right now with Warner Brothers being bought out, it broke last week that Netflix was definitively buying it out. Netflix sent out emails to all of their customers saying we're buying out Warner Brothers. This is what the future is going to look like, even though the deal's not finalized. And this was interesting because I feel like the same thing happened when Disney bought out Fox or 20th Century Fox. Was that we heard that they bought it out, and then it was like the deal wasn't finalized for like a year because they had to go through the FTC and prove that it's not a monopoly and all those things, which is what they're going to have to do with Warner Brothers. The biggest issue here, which I'm not going to get into because I don't talk politics. This isn't Taylor Talks Politics, but the biggest issue here is the conglomerate media and how it's all becoming funneled into just a few entities, and media is only going to be owned by a few things, and then or a few companies, and they're going to be billionaires, and they're all going to have certain political leanings, and it's the power of information, all that stuff. I'm not getting into that, but the big story here is that the deal's not finalized. Netflix is, I guess, jumping the gun. I don't know if that's for like a public relations reason, like they're trying to jump ahead so people think that it's already done, and then they they think it's already done, they can, I don't know. But Paramount has now come to the forefront with a bigger offer, I guess, to where Paramount might actually buy him out, and it sounds like they have a foot in the door because Jared Kushner has a bunch of money invested into Paramount, and Jared Kushner is the son-in-law of our president, who has the ability to talk to the FTC, who makes the decision on if things are monopolies or not. Again, I'm going to check into the politics of that, but it seems like Paramount has a good foot in the door as far as being able to win. The important thing I want to press upon everybody, though, is that this is not done. This is not a done deal. It might take a year at least for the deal to be done. And then when that deal is done, we won't see any effects of it for a couple years after that. Think about how Disney bought out. When did Disney buy out Fox? When was that first announced? Let me see if I can find that out. Disney as American. trying to see when they were about 2019. Okay. So think about this. This is the important because it's very similar to the deal of Disney buying out 20th Century Studios, 20th Century Fox. That was done in 2019. Disney finalized that 2019. Just now, starting in 2026, is when like we're seeing like Hulu go away, which Hulu was like one of the reverberations of that deal. So it took almost 7 years for it to be like 100% official. Now Disney has fully taken over Fox and Hulu and has rolled it all into one Disney Plus program. So if a year from now the deal's finalized where Paramount or Disney buys out Warner Brothers, it might be 5 or 6 years before, because people are like, oh, well, that means HBO and Disney Plus are going to be merged, and that, or HBO and Paramount Plus. That's not going to happen for a number of years. They're going to still keep those separate before they can smash them all together. And then the effects on comics, again, won't be felt for a number of years either. I don't think comics will change all that much, honestly. I think the biggest thing that could happen with the comics of Warner Brothers / DC would be for them to stop publishing comics and to farm out their characters to like a Boom Studios or Image or Dark Horse or whoever. That would be the biggest story that could come out of it, but I don't even think that's going to happen. But they're never going to stop making comics altogether. There's too much money rolled into those characters and the IP to keep it present and keep it alive for copyright reasons and things. But yes. Oh wow. Okay. The two are going to have to. Oh no! All right, so that Taylor talked about doing Russ Bunker. What just happened? Okay. Call your Congress. You can complain about all of this. That's true. You can. Taylor was a king of strong style the whole time and the leader of Bullet Club back in 2017. Yes, that's the era. I was watching New Japan Pro Wrestling back at, I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 6 or 7 was the first Wrestle Kingdom that I watched for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And that's like the beginning of like their big boom. And it was so fun waking up at 2 a.m. to watch a New Japan Pro Wrestling show in front of the Cortican Hall crowd. Paramount owners, big backers of the president as well. Jared got the Saudi money too. Yes, absolutely. 2018 with Mouse and Fox. So that's when the deal was probably announced, and then 2019 is when it was finalized. The recent study that showed that ChatGPT swayed people's political opinions the way they vote. The future is dark. Yes, and that's my biggest issue with AI controlling information. That's why when I'm in person with someone and they're like, oh yeah, just Google it and just look at what the AI says. I'm like, you're going down a dangerous path with that, because yes, AI, whatever, is a robot with information being filtered into it, but who owns the robot and who controls the robot? Because Grok off of Twitter, X, is owned by who? Elon Musk. We think that Grok is going to be filtered in an even keeled way that's not going to lean right or left politically. We trust Elon Musk to have that power and that information in his hands to not, put the finger on the scale one way or the other. No, we don't. So yes, ChatGPT is the same way. Who owns the AI that's filtering out the information? That's the important thing to think about. And add the monopolization of media and access to information. Yes. Paramount has been getting real cozy with current administration. Just look at the Barry Weiss running CBS News. Yep. And the news organization that hasn't had any angry truth social messages recently. Yes. And then also Stephen Colbert being taken off the network, I guess. His deal not being renewed, however you want to say that. Very much done to appease the administration. Paramount is owned by the son, and father owns a lot of the AI data centers. See, even worse. Comics is an easy way to protect copyright. That's what I'm saying. I don't see Paramount getting Warner Brothers. I look for Netflix to win it. Who grok's the Grokman? Harvey Picar's Ghost, I'm glad you're here because I'm about to do my haul, and I got your package in the mail yesterday. Thank you so much. No offense to any of my other viewers, but Harvey Picar's Ghost is the viewer of the week because he sent me an awesome package. Oh, okay. That's weird. So let's go to my haul since Harvey's here in the house. First, I went to Half Price Books the other day, and I found The Wild Kingdom. I just showed this off, but from Kevin Huizinga. Big Kevin Huizinga fan, and I excited for his Fielder. I think issue number 4 is coming out soon, early next year. And I just recently reread, what's it called? The River, amazing comic book. And then I found this, and I've never read this before, never had this. This is like a nice little slim hardcover, and Wild Kingdom. So I'm going to read that. And then I also found this at Half Price Books, Lone Wolf and Cub, with the Frank Miller cover. This is one of the single issues put out by First Publishing. And I got this to do a comparison because I'm hoping to get the Lone Wolf and Cub hardcover to do to the comparison. This is because that hardcover that Dark Horse is putting out, the deluxe edition, is the first time that Lone Wolf and Cub will be presented right to left in its original right to left format like it was in Japan. First time it'll be presented that way in English. First Comics did these, and then Dark Horse did like this small little tankobons that I hate. But I love these. They have a really cool Frank Miller covers on them, which I was happy to see that the Frank Miller covers are included in the deluxe editions of those. And it wasn't just Frank Miller. I think Matt Wagner did some covers. And I forget, did Bill Sienkiewicz do some covers? I forget who else did covers. But I bought this to do a little comparison. This is just the first issue, which I don't know as far as chapters go, what this collects. I don't know if it even says in here. I don't know how they broke that down. If they did it like in nice even chapters, but I know they didn't finish it in this format. First Publishing went out of business before they were able to finish Lone Wolf and Cub. Okay, so it was Bill Sienkiewicz. So Bill Sienkiewicz, Matt Wagner, Frank Miller. I forget who else did covers. Now this is what Harvey sent me, and I am forever grateful. This was an amazing package that he sent me of stuff. It started off as a combo of me needing, well, let's start off with that part. So I talked about this on my whole last week or the week before. I picked up the 4th issue of Simon Hanselman's You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy. So this is issue number 4. It's also what he calls his zombie comic, where the Meg Mogg and Al characters are going through a zombie apocalypse. I showed that off a week or so ago. And then talking to Harvey Picar's Ghost, he's a great guy, always supportive, great ambassador of alternative comics. And he had extra copies of issues 2 and 3. Because I had issue number 1, which I think Harvey might have actually sent me issue number 1 a couple years ago when it first came out. So I had issue number 1 and 4. He sent me out 2 and 3. So now I can read these and be caught up on this story. And Harvey, I've got to say this was very serendipitous. I don't want to say why, but perfect week for you to send these to me. Perfect timing. But yeah, they're really cool. My favorite things about these, I think, are this is the first time I've ever followed Simon's work through self-publishing, because Simon will typically self-publish a lot of his work, and then it'll be collected by Fantagraphics later on. And so I don't know if he did this on his old self-publishing things, but these pages of essays in the back about like what's going on in his life, what comics he's reading, how he's feeling about the comic book industry. Fascinating stuff. Like that's worth the price of admission alone, I think, is those little 4 pages of him just musing about comics. In his career, he's like trying to get, he's submitting scripts to Hollywood and things, pitching ideas. Really fascinating stuff. But super excited. I read issue 2 last night, and then I'm going to read issue 3 and 4 probably today to get caught up. And then he sent me the latest issue of Devil's Grin, issue number 7. This is the Alex Graham's masterpiece. I do have a video from one of my moderators wants to share it, showing off Devil's Grin from Fantagraphics, the collection, trade paperback collection. which I thought I had down here somewhere. I don't know. That collects issues number 1 through 6, that Fantagraphics collection. So if you're interested in catching up, this is issue number 7, just came out a month or two ago, and it's the most recent one. So get the Fantagraphics collection, the first paperback, and then Devil's Grin number 7, and we'll catch you up. And this is a thick, substantial book here. Like, it's even got a spine on it. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's 116. 116 pages. And even has a Jasper Jubenville pin-up in the back, which is awesome. So 116 pages, and it's $12 cover price. And this is a new format for Alex. She was serializing Devil's Grin in the more bigger magazine size. If you go to that video where I show off the Fantagraphics collection, you'll see it. I do a comparison of them. So I had some of the early issues. And that's not it. Harvey sent me, also, speaking of Alex Graham, The Professor's Day Off. I was showing off the Grand Electric Thought Power Mother last week, and it's done by Perfectly Acceptable Press. And Harvey was in the chat saying that Perfectly Acceptable Press is an awesome publisher. And I said that was my first book from them. Well, he sent me this. This is The Professor's Day Off from Alex Graham, also by Perfectly Acceptable Press. And this is a really cool format. It's like spiral brown notebook, and then like the cover is like vellum. So you see like the cover there, and then it goes on top. Same thing with the back cover with this little alien guy, which Alex Graham's really cool. She even makes like these characters. Like if you ever see her on like Manga Chat with Simon Hanselman or whatnot, or interviews she does, she actually makes like full on dolls that are like this size, and they look exactly like her artwork. Really good stuff. But I love the format. I love that Perfectly Acceptable Press plays with different formats. Kind of reminds me of Picture Box back in the day. And then speaking of Jasper Jubenville, he sent me Dynamite Diva, The Engine Whispers. So I showed off this. Let me try to get this out without dropping a bunch of books. Bear with me for a second. So I showed off this like a week or so ago. This is the only Jasper Jubenville I own until Harvey sent me a few things here. But this is like a really thick collection. And this kind of took the alt comics world by storm when it came out. Jasper was everything that's collected in here was previously released and self-published, like mini comics and things. Not every, there's a lot of pinups and stuff that weren't, but this is like chock full of like great stuff, and an awesome comic. Jasper Jubenville is like a young, early 20s cartoonist, and very much inspired by Chester Gould of Dick Tracy fame, and totally like an amazing comic. It's a force of nature, this thing. And I can't believe it's done by someone in their early 20s. Like, if this is what he's doing in his early 20s, I don't know what Jasper's comics are going to look like 10 or 15 years from now, but you can almost guarantee they're going to be the best comics in the world. And this is the follow-up. So we have, this is what you want to read first, and this is the follow-up. And then Jasper's releasing, I think this month or next is when the next installment comes out of Dynamite Diva. So I wanted to be able to read this before the next one comes out, so I can be all caught up on Dynamite Diva and do a full overview and review of it on my channel to show off this work. But Jasper Jubenville, everyone needs to be following him. His work is awesome. And then he sent me these. This is Milkmaid. This is a mini comic from Jasper. I guess I can take it out of the book so it's not glaring off the screen here. And I don't know if this is going to be collected in the new piece or if this was even collected maybe in one of these. But it's a mini comic of Milkmaid. And again, it's more of his Dynamite Diva adventures. And his work is just amazing. Like, absolutely love this stuff. I can't believe this young... It blows my mind that this young 20-year-old was so inspired by Chester Gould that he's doing this very much Chester Gould-inspired work. I think he said in interviews that his dad would buy him like the old single issues that collected Chester Gould, or sorry, Dick Tracy, and that's like started this obsession with Dick Tracy from him. It's really cool that, I mean, we have an early 20s cartoonist doing awesome things, and he wasn't inspired by just superheroes. And he sent me this, I think it's like a process zine, because it's got like thumbnail pages in it and whatnot. I'm assuming he probably got this if you pre-ordered one of his comics, because a lot of cartoonists will do that. Like if you pre-order a comic, you'll get this cool little process zine. I love this little Mickey Mouse character on the back. But that's not all. Harvey also sent me a Pleasure Beach by Josh Pettinger. I always forget how to pronounce his name. This is his latest series. So he did Goiter, and then he did Tedward, a lot of Tedward mini comics. The Tedward video I did on the hardcover of that, which I think I have back here. Yeah. Tedward was his first Fantagraphics release, his first official Fantagraphics release. He did some work with Simon in Werewolf Jones and Sons. This hardcover, Josh Pettinger does a few comics in here, and I think is he in Below Ambition as well? He might have done some coloring or something in this one, but regardless, this is his latest series, Pleasure Beach, and issue number 2, which I have on pre-order now. Thanks to Harvey for sending this out to me. So I pre-ordered issue number 2. So when I get that in, I'll do a proper video on that. But this is his next series, and it seems like Josh is really trying to stretch his creative muscles here. And like Tedward and Goiter were like his funny, amusing humor comics, and Pleasure Beach, I haven't read it yet, but my first instant impression is that it's kind of giving me vibes of like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron from Dan Clowes. But I don't know if that's accurate or not. But I love that Josh is trying to stretch his creative muscles. I think he'll come back to Tedward eventually when he has a story to tell there. But it's interesting too, because he's best friends with Simon, and Simon has like only released, Meg, Mug, and Owl type comics since he's been published. But Josh is kind of working with a bunch of different types of characters and things. And then the last thing that Harvey sent me was this Nate Garcia piece. Nate Garcia Full Moon Funnies is Nate Garcia is also an early 20s cartoonist that's taking the world by storm. And I have another Nate Garcia piece that I ordered in my haul, but he sent me, when he first started publishing his work, when he was just 19 years old, he sent me his early issues of Horn Rim, which was like his one-man anthology type deal. And I was blown away. The talent that this kid had just utterly blew me away. One of the moderators, if you want to find, if you want to find my video on Nate Garcia, it was in Cartoonist You Should Know Nate Garcia, showing off his earliest work. But from then on, I vowed, I was like, I have the ability to try to collect everything this kid does in his entire career. Like, I'm here on the ground floor. He sent me his earliest stuff. I want to try to collect everything he does in his career, because I was way late to the game to Dan Clowes and Charles Burns. They started their careers before I was even born. And I was like, wish I could have collected all these rarities and things from them, like these one-off, appearances where they did a page in certain issue of things. But I have it now, and I need to go through all my Nate Garcia stuff, because I think I might be caught up on everything he's published. I don't think I have all of his comics, period, because I think he might have done like a page here and there in a French comic, but I have all of his stuff that he's self-published. I think I didn't go through it. So that's everything Harvey sent me. Harvey, thank you so much again. Viewer of the week, blown away, true ambassador of the alt comics movement. I just love that you buy extra stuff from these cartoonists to support them financially, but then also you pass them around to people. I hope that I can maybe put a spotlight on some of these cartoonists to maybe garner more of a little bit of a bigger audience to them, whatever audience I can provide. And again, serendipitous. I don't want to say. I'll tell you, Harvey, in the DMs after the show why it was serendipitous, but very fitting that this came in this week. So then the rest of the haul. Oh, why don't I catch up with you guys before I go on to the next part? Harvey for the win. Betrayal. Josh, you were the, I didn't say it publicly, but you're the viewer of the week before. Wow, that's a good find. I think you're referring to Wild Kingdom. Is this out of print? This John and Quarterly piece, Wild Kingdom? I own 2 of those old lone wolves. Unflipped, baby. Japan. Yes, Omar trained me. Every time I hear a comics YouTuber say the word Japan, like even if it's not Omar, my brain has like a Pavlov's dog thing where my brain is waiting for that clip to come up from Street Fighter. Use lighter fluid to remove sticky labels. Monster Mash, thank you for joining me. Which sticky labels? Oh, you're referring to like these Half Price Books labels. These come off pretty easy usually. Let me do it live here. Yeah, it's coming off pretty good. You know who's bad is Goodwill. Those stickers stay on there forever. Those are the ones you need lighter fluid for. But Half Price Books is usually pretty good. Let me see how it is on this Lone Wolf and Cub issue. I want to risk it for the biscuit here. Oh, the whole cover's torn. No, just kidding. There is some stickiness from a previous label I can see here. Maybe an old comic shop had it. But Half Price Books labels come off. They come off easy. Go Half Price Books. Bill did some covers too. I just found, again, my wife and I go thrifting all the time. We went thrifting this past weekend and I found Venture Brothers on DVD, which I absolutely love that series. It's one of my favorite cartoon series ever. And I was looking through the packaging and I didn't realize that Bill Sienkiewicz did some of the artwork on the inside of one of the DVD seasons. I forget what season I was looking at. I did the same thing. Olive oil is my trick. Haha, nice. Harvey P. Carter's Ghost. Oh, I get it. Taylor starts Zombie Apocalypse. Here's the Devil's Grin video. Everyone go check that out. Again, a must-read series. One of the best things I read this year. When I do my top 10 video of top 10 things I read this year, expect this to be on there. Taylor promotes the Satan. Oh, Devil's Grin. Okay, I was trying to figure out what you're talking about. It's over 100 pages. Perfectly acceptable press is always great. Jesper has a new comic coming out this month. Okay. He's really into old noir movies too. He just finished a story inspired by Night of the Hunter. That's amazing. I just love the fact that this young kid is into that stuff. I guess people probably feel that way about me being in my late 30s and being into Golden Age comics, that all of which came out decades before I was even alive. Josh was in Now 13 previously for Fanta. Do I have Now 13? I have my whole stacks of Nows right here. No, 12. Oh, see? I didn't know that because the latest Now I have is 12. I still need to pick up Now 13. Yes, Josh, I try. All right. Young man, impress indie guy. Indie as in Indiana. I like that you use that properly there. I see what you're doing there. Do you have the issue of Told to Tell that features a never printed early Nate Garcia short? Told to Tell, is that a anthology with like other cartoonists and stuff? Possibly not. Dana, thrift book labels are insidious. Haha, that's good. I was fretting. Oh, on the labels. Yeah, Half Price Books labels have never given me any issues. So this is the stuff I hauled from Gutter Pop Comics, and great comic shop in Buffalo, New York. I've talked to Steven over there a number of times. There was a mess up with my order, but I messaged him. I'm sure it's gonna get handled. So I don't want to. When I say there's a mess up with the order, I don't want to make people be like, "Oh no, don't shop there." Definitely shop at Gutter Pop Comics, especially online. They have a lot of discounted stuff on their online stores and things, and rarities, rare stuff you find, like this one. This is Stunt from Michael DeForge. I keep talking about how I'm trying to become a Michael DeForge completist. Again, kind of like I talked about Nate Garcia. I want to collect all the small rarities and things that Michael DeForge came out with throughout the years. But this is Stunt, this little mini comic, I guess, of sorts, put out by Koyama Press, which is a lot of Michael DeForge's stuff is published from Koyama. But it follows the life of a stunt man in Hollywood in the classic Michael DeForge style, but done in this like 2-panel grid format of this weird landscape book, which is really cool. But absolutely love Michael DeForge's stuff, and I've never read this, never owned it. So I'm excited to have this in my collection now from Gutter Pop. Also from Michael DeForge, I got Lose issue 5. So now I have 4, 5, 6, and 7. I just need to get the first 4 issues. No, sorry, the first 3 issues, which will be the hardest ones to find. Because there's only ever 7 issues of this. This was Michael DeForge's one main anthology that he put out, I think like 8 Ball or Neat Stuff or Hate. This is Michael DeForge's version of the one main anthology. Or I could say one cartoonist anthology if you want to talk about like Dirty Plot from Julie Doucet. But again, Michael DeForge completist, absolutely love his work, huge fan of his cartooning. And I'm going to do a video on all my Michael DeForge stuff once I get in a couple other books, I think. But there's some other stuff I'm missing. And then I want to read through these, obviously, before I do the video. But really cool stuff. Now I'm on the hunt for Lose issues number 1 through 3. If anybody has a tip on any of those, let me know. Here's a Nate Garcia one I got. This is Horn Rim 4. This is one I didn't have. I'm pretty sure I have Horn Rim 3, though. I know I have 1 and 2 because he sent me those when I did that video. And I think I have Horn Rim 3. I just need to go through my Nate stuff and figure it out. But this is Horn Rim 4. And this was one piece of Nate's that I was missing. And this is his one main anthology. And I was reading through this a little bit because he has like a little piece in the back where he writes kind of like what I was talking about with Simon Hanselman earlier. And talks about how like people will like all the stuff's like small print runs, and so people will take it and flip it on eBay and sell it for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And that's super unfortunate because Nate doesn't see the benefits of any of that financially. And he talks about how he's like, just because I'm a poor cartoonist trying to make it, I can't even. He would like to keep all those things in print because that's obviously the easiest way to counteract people flipping and scalping your stuff on eBay is to keep stuff in print, to keep the speculator value down. But he talks about how his financial struggles to keep stuff in print, but he would like to. So, a little interesting toil with the alt comics cartoonist. We talked about earlier with like Sara Pichelli's issues with creator rights, but that's kind of like the financial stuff that they deal with. And I got Vendetta issues 5 and 6. So I have a video I did on my channel called Power Comics, and it shows off Vendetta, the trade paperback that Floating World put out, collecting the first 4 issues. This was a 90s comic put out by Steve McCardle, and it's awesome. Like, it was amazing stuff in that paperback that Floating World put out. But because of the hype of that paperback, Steve then returned to comics. And this is the first new issue of Vendetta, the Holy Vindicator. First new issue in 30 years. And I just love his artwork. Absolutely amazing. Like, it's like the black and white comics boom mixed with like early extreme 90s stuff. And it's on this cheap newsprint paper. So I love that he's returned to comics to bring this character back. And his artwork is really, really great. Love his character designs and things. So these are the 2 issues that he's come out with so far. I think issue 1 came out in 2023, and issue 5 came out in 2023. I think issue 6 came out last year. So I don't think we got a new issue in 2025. Yeah, but like, look at this. And they have these cool wraparound covers too, which are really great. So color covers, glossy covers, and then black and white newspaper interiors. just fun power comics, as Evan Husney and crew call them. And then I got a Shaky Cane joint, one I didn't have, and I don't even know when this came out. This is Magic Lantern, put out by Floating World, and there's no indication of a year on this thing. I think this is new. I think it's like a newer thing that came out in the last year or two. But there's no indicia on this book at all. Oh, geez. Okay, the closest thing you get to indicia is back here with the ISBN, but there's no like year indication. There's no copyright material on the inside. I'm very confused by that, but it's a great looking book. Shaky Cane's awesome. I love his work. Need to do a video showing off all my books from him as well. But this seems really awesome. Oh, it's like the back cover. I'm trying to show new interiors here. This really rad comics. Wild, wild, wild stuff. And then two more things to show off. This is a book from Fantagraphics that I've been meaning to pick up, but I got it from Gutter Pop. And this is Crusher Loves Bleeder, Bleeder Loves Crusher. It's part of their Fantagraphics Underground imprint, or FU. And it's put up by, or it's done by Thomas Stimrich and Patrick Keck. And Patrick Keck did, he drew some of the comics in the Batman bootleg comic that I showed off. It's my Josh Simmons video I did for Halloween. Patrick Keck drew one of those issues inside, and I terribly did not credit Patrick Keck in that video. I felt awful when I shared that video on social media, and Josh Simmons said, like, oh, hey, don't forget Patrick Keck worked on this too. So hopefully I can do right by Patrick Keck by reading through this and showing this off on a future video and properly crediting him. But I love his artwork. He has like a kind of a Gary Panter inspired art that I love. Here's a cool 2-page spread. But yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this. It's a book I've been meaning to pick up. It came out late last year, I think. And then I picked up, this is where they messed up. So I ordered the Goiter paperback collection because I still don't have that, unfortunately, from Josh Pettinger. Floating World put that out. I've been meaning to pick it up. Someone picked it up, and so I ordered it from them, but they sent an invoice. They couldn't find a copy, so they refunded me, which is cool. And then I ordered Smoke Signal, but I ordered the Gary Panter issue because I still haven't picked that up. But they sent me this one. This is by Keiichi Tanami. Again, cool that they sent me this, but it's the wrong one. So I reached out to Steven. I'm sure he's going to make it right. No big deal. Not stressed about it. But the artwork in here is great, regardless. So Smoke Signal, if you don't know, is the published newspaper comic. I'm trying to fit that on camera. I guess I can do it this way. Put up by the comic book shop Desert Island Comics, which is in Brooklyn, New York. I had the pleasure of visiting that comic shop when I went to New York. Look at this 2-page spread. Look at that. Amazing stuff. I had the pleasure of visiting the comic shop at their old location. They're on a new location now. But regardless, I don't know if it's once a month or every couple months, but they put out these things called Smoke Signal. And if you visit their shop, they're free. If you like physically visit their shop in person, they're free. You can pick them up. When I went there, I picked up, like, they had like 3 issues there, and I picked them all up because they're free. If you order them online, I think they're $10 a piece. And I wanted the Gary Panter issue because there's an old Gary Panter issue. It's like the newest thing Gary's come out with in a few years. And I was stoked to pick it up. But they sent me this one. So I don't know if they have the Gary Panter issue still in stock and I can still get it. Hopefully I can. Like I said, I reached out to Steven. I know he'll make it right. No big deal. Gooder Pop's an awesome shop to order from online or in store. I haven't visited them in store because they're in Buffalo, New York, and I don't have any reason to go to Buffalo, New York besides to visit that shop, which would maybe is a good enough excuse anyways. But so when I went to New York, I looked up to see like how far of a drive it would be, and it was like a 3-hour drive or something crazy, a 2-hour drive maybe. It just wasn't worth it to take a whole day out of your trip to New York to go all the way up there, I guess. But awesome stuff, great haul. I'm excited to sit down with all this stuff and read through it all. This is some really cool stuff too. It's gonna keep me busy for a while. All right, what are you guys talking about here? Bum-ba-dum. Taylor buys mini comics. Oh, it's not a mini comic? What are you talking about? Which one are you talking about? Yeah, Told to Tell is a small indie anthology. You're probably also missing the issue of Cram he did the cover for, and Zine Panique issue with the Pettinger Garcia collab cover. I feel like I might have Zine Panique. That sounds familiar. I don't know. Harvey, I'm going to go through all my Nate stuff in the next couple days, and I'll send you a picture, and you maybe you can help me figure out what I'm missing. Lose is great. I think Lose number 2 still has my favorite thing he did. Oh, that's incentive for me to hunt that down. Power Comics Hall. Here we go. That's where I show off the Vendetta trade paperback, which is upstairs, so I can't show it off here now, but it's good stuff. Brave and the Boys, thank you for joining me. Taylor, always out here crushing it. Thank you, thank you. Weird Man Dressed Like a Flying Rat. That's the Batman book, I think. Scanning those for my Burns book was fun. The Smoke Signal. You make books? Aha, not well, Josh. Yes, you do. Don't say that. The little blue one. Mini comic implies handmade usually. Oh, did I say mini comic? Sorry. Miniature comic is what I meant. This is a hardcover published by... Oh, or do you mean the blue horn rim? I don't know. Whatever. Do you have the new Nick Garcia Juliet Colette collab zine? I don't know. How new is it? When did it come out? Is it red? Does it have like a red cover? Red border cover? Because I might have that. If that's what the one you're talking about. Because I know I have a few Nate Garcia collaboration pieces. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can grab them. I don't think this is all my Nate stuff, but is this one of them? Empty Wire? Came out this year. It's a square zine that unfolds accordion style with the belly band. No, I don't have that then. So I'm missing that one too. Oh no, this is with Molly Dwyer, that collaboration. And then I have Flippy. That's not from... Nope. Those aren't Nate Garcia. That's not Nate Garcia. Oh, maybe this isn't my Nate Garcia stack then. I don't know. I'm going to have to go through it. It must be in another stack there. I did find the stack does have my other Smoke Signals in it though. The ones I got from when I went to New York. This is a Brian Blumworth one. Brian Blumworth is amazing. And here's another one. So those are really cool. Yeah, I don't have the accordion style one though. Where did my other ones go? I don't know. I'll find them and I'll send you a picture though. Blind Bowman with shirts are always dope and in really great quality. That's good to hear. They do look awesome, but I never ordered one, so it's good to know that they're good quality. His comics are great. That was one on me. That was on me. I thought it was on handmade. Oh, okay. Actually, shocked you don't have more mini comics. I don't. It's probably because I don't go to a lot of conventions. That's one of the things I'm trying to do, though, Josh. I've actually sold a lot of my Marvel DC omnibuses. I'm trying to get in more into the indie scene as far as supporting these cartoonists, because I was in the habit of waiting to buy their stuff when it was collected by like a Fantagraphics or Drawn and Quarterly or whatever. But I do want to support them and promote their work on my channel as it's coming out, because I know that they need the support before it becomes a book, right? And actually, Simon Hanselman has been very forthright, saying that he makes more money off the self-published comics than he does the collections from Fantagraphics. Like, the collections are great because you can build a bigger audience by, having the publicity of Fantagraphics behind you. You can build a bigger audience that way. But as far as like dollars to donuts, he makes more money off his self-published comics, like the ones I was showing off earlier, than he does from the Fantagraphics collection. So that's also a reason and incentive for me to buy the self-published stuff, because more money goes directly into the pockets of the cartoonist that way. Yeah, I need to find my Nate pile. Oh, this is Blammo. Got a lot of Noah Van Sciver stuff. I've collected a lot of Noah Van Sciver's minis comics. I've been on all the ones that he's released over the last few years. I've picked up for Noah Van Sciver. But yeah. I need to organize my comics. I have so many mini comics buried in stacks. I know. That's exactly what my issue is. I would show you, but it's embarrassing. I have like drawers of stacks of my mini comics and self-published stuff over there that I can't get through. I thought I had Nate's stuff, because I recently went through Nate's stuff to find if I had a certain book from him. I think it might have been when you were messaging me, and I thought they must be in a different stack. There's a wait for collection creators, and then there's must buy everything they put out cartoonists. I agree. Yes. So, because I don't buy a lot of single issues from like the comic shop on the racks, like from like Image or Marvel or DC, unless it's like a creator that I really, really enjoyed. And like last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, I showed off the Tom Scioli issue of Twilight Zone. Like, first, I'll pick up anything Tom Scioli puts out. And also, I don't know if I'll even buy the collection of the Twilight Zone comics. So I want the single issues of his and James Stokoe when it comes out. I will say you and Harvey need to go to Fluke. Where's that at? Is that in the South? It took me so long to find my copies of You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy. Well, again, Harvey, thank you so much. I'm glad you found them. I can't wait to read them. I've already read issue number 2, but can't wait to read 3 and 4. Josh, no, we need to go to the Permanent Records show one year. All right, so that's going to be the stream. I'm going to go through my plugs, and everyone put in the comments your last bits of the chat, and then I'll address those, and I will get out of here then. So if you have any last-minute comments, put those in the chat while I go through my plugs here. But if you want to shop for comics over at Panelbound Comics, use my promo code Taylor Talks Comics. It's all one word, Taylor Talks Comics. You'll save $2 off of your order. If you're putting a larger order in with panelboundcomics.com, use my promo code TTC Ship It Together. That's TTC Ship It Together, all one word, and you'll save 5% off of that order of 5 books or more. Sorry, 5% off that order of 4 books or more. You save money on comics. I get a little bit of kickback for the channel. We all win. And then before you leave and before I leave, smash the like button and subscribe. Comment down below. If you're watching this on replay, comment down below. I reply to all comments. And super chats are always welcome and super appreciated. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Glad you're veering towards the underground alternative comics. Yes, I think it's just like, I've always done that. I've always shown those off on my channel. My idea for the channel is always to bring people in with the Marvel DC Omnibus type deals, but then hopefully they stay for the smaller press or more independent or smaller publishers type comics. But I think I'm just going to like, and I still will show off Marvel DC stuff. I'm not saying I'm not going to, but I think I'm just going to show a little bit more of this side than this in my channel. I don't know. It seems like those videos do better in views anyways for me like my omnibus views don't do as well as when I show off some of my Fantagraphics books that I get review copies for instance. Fluke is a mini comic con in Athens. Oh, I should go there. You show up, bum rush to find a spot, random table set up, and other things like pool tables. Oh, that's awesome. Don't forget, you'll be on Omnidog's Vault this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, James. Yes, I will be on Omnidog's Vault this Saturday evening. So check me out over there. And Jess and I think we're talking about, I think it's like holiday gift guides. So ideas for presents for people, comic related. There's my Discord. Thank you, James. Have a great Tuesday, Taylor. Thank you, Dana. There's so many great indie comic shows on the West Coast. I know. I wish I can get out to more conventions. I just don't. I don't know. But I digress. Thank you guys for watching so much. Smash the like button. Everyone, keep talking comics.